etc. is manageable. Then the last one will be the timeline. So we should also consider about like the entities market, the entities timeline. I mean, since our market is what we is the one that we will focus on, and as well as to connecting the timeline to the global or regional timeline. The role of MCP in this focus selection, the first one is leading the space, like the pre-planning, planning, and consolidations, and then building routine, and as well as building power corner, like having creating synergy space within MC to MC related to the focus selections. And the role of MC team will be the collecting any researchers and data to enriching their knowledge and to define whether it is really the focus that we want or not. And the second one will be being accountable to the routine that held by the MCPs as well. Other considerations, we add one thing, which is the relevancy with global or regional directions, because we think that it's really important as well if you want to focus what we want to achieve in our entity. But in the other side, we need to also consider how can we support the global directions or even like regional directions as well. Kennel, do you want to add something?
No, Jimmy, I think you covered everything.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I think these things are really nice. Especially, I like how you guys have decided like what are the key aspects that you need to cover in focus selection. So it's just like this MCPs, like when you guys can actually go through this, and when you are actually using your planning, just again come back to this and make sure you have the minimums established. Cool. Let's go to goal setting. I don't know who did this, but let's someone from the goal setting team can present.
Okay, I can go. We were not able to discuss everything, but on non-negotiable thing, I think first thing that we thought about, it should be SMART. So like specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. That is really necessary while we are setting any goals. Second thing is like before planning also, we need to be all the goals that should be data based, so that it is not too ambitious or low ambitious, and it should be based on how we were doing and how much we can do in this upcoming term. And the last thing that we thought about is alignment. So it should be aligned with the MC vision and strategy and what the focus we are going to have, like how we decided on focus selection. Based on that, how the goal setting is going to be. And as a role of MCP, first thing that is like facilitating the whole flow, because while goal setting, there are so many things that are happening. Like we can be a lot distracted due to different parameters. So facilitating the flow, that okay, these are the focus that we need to actually look into. Get everyone on the same pace, because there are so many synergy points and those things, and that is really necessary to look into. Giving reality check, because sometimes we are really focused on like we are going to achieve a lot, so it is really necessary to give reality check on betweens also, and stick to the things that we are aiming for. Like on focus selection, if we are doing something, that should be really as a key things that should be in our mind. So these are the things that we discussed.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. That's perfect. I like the thing, giving the reality check. That's very important, because because you have to make sure that that's balanced between you and the chair of the planning. So that's more guided. So good job. All right. Accountability system. Anyone can present.
Okay. For ours, I think you can refresh. I ask you and refresh me. Yeah. I think the first non-negotiable will be the working style of each MC. Like how can we work together, based on like different profiles and also communication style. And then the second will be the relevant. Make sure that the accountability routine or the system is relevant to the synergy needed for the strategy. And the last but not least will be objective driven, to have like clear objective and who will be the stakeholders are involved in each of the routines. So I think for the role of MCP, first thing is to ensure the collaboration happen in their team, and also coordinating their working styles, and also their strategy, whether what kind of synergy needed, and also to understand what was the previous like effectiveness of the synergy to provide context and consultation for the MCPs. And then for the MC team is to agile and adapt towards different diverse profile to work with different people, and also proactive to provide input regarding like their working styles and also their thoughts on how to improve the synergy routine to achieve their objective. Yeah, I think that's it.
Perfect. I really like objective driven, what you mentioned, because this is a very interesting thing. Look at objective setting for when you're thinking of goals as well. That's a very interesting way to actually plan your goals. All right, good job, team. And last but not least, we have network management.
Okay, I was in with Ragas in this, in this space. Maybe you can next the slide, Arvan. Okay, yeah. So like there are like 3 non-negotiable things that we decide. The very first one is about brand of commission, which having a purpose and engage them around it, and then like we define the brand since the beginning of the term. About management, you should have something in terms of vision and also by the mutual respect and accountability system, and provide clear information and transparency in all decision. And then the very last one, which in terms of network management, we do aware that goal setting and tracking need to be here as a non-negotiable part on how we actually can make those kind of things simple and memorable for them. When it's talking about goal tracking, somehow like it is very confusing, but how we actually can make it more fun, and also the network can able to understand about the data, not only about the numbers, and provide some kind of delegation and be active for not only one channel information. And then the next one, the role of MCP should be conduct evaluation and review of the goals and routine. And then the next one, ensuring the network minimum delivery. So we expecting that we ask as an MCP, we provide some kind of network minimum so that like the MCP can delivering and also execute it to their commission. And then the next one is more into ensuring effective and communication by the MC to the network. And then the role of the MC should be executing the network management and asking the feedback from the commission, supporting the members and also goals, and then like make some kind of clear and fixed timeline for every single routine that we have as an MC. And then the last one is provide some kind of resources and tools that can support the network. And maybe another consideration that we add is centralized network services form and evaluation. Maybe we can see from like as what I do right now, like they providing decentralized and also like decentralized network services. It could be another adding point for us to make sure that the network management could be centralized. And then the last one is providing R&R. Do you want to add anything, Radav? All good. Okay.
Okay, all good. Perfect. Yes, I really like how you mentioned network minimums. It's very, very important. These are things that we constantly forget about because they are the most fundamentals. So it's very good to reiterate that. And once you decide your minimums, you can even track your network principles, like using your monthly network service forms and things like that. So if you can do that, you can actually see how effective is the network strategy. So yeah, good job. And finally, risk management. Cool. Okay, risk management team, you guys can go ahead.
So Jana can go.
Okay, cool. Yes. So, I mean, the first thing would be like, having clarity on the international context when creating the risk management itself, because risk should be like realistic in the sense like we need to know what is happening at the our context, and like as a team we need to consider all the aspects that is available, that is possible to happen throughout the timeline. And then the second thing would be like having that sustainability and long-term vision when creating risk management, always considering like what will be the impact, how it will be impactful, how all the scenarios can have the impact on our organization and stakeholders of our organization. And then finally, the open-mindedness and listening to ideas, because as a team, when we are creating the risk management, the different people can come up with different ideas, and so it needs to be that open-mindedness to keep it, okay, this risk can happen, this risk can happen, and not like, okay, this is not going to happen, whatever the scenario. So yeah, I mean, those are the main negotiable and non-negotiables. And then the role of the MC, I guess, keeping the MC accountable mainly for pre-planning and also the planning, like, because then everyone will have proper understanding about the context, because risk management, understanding of the context is highly important for risk management. And then ensuring all the aspects are inclusive and all the ideas are discussed in a proper way, so all the possible scenarios are taken into account. And having that vision of like ISEC way and 2025, whenever creating risk management, how all these scenarios will affect it. And then the role of the MCA team, like voicing out the honest opinion and feedback when providing output for all the scenarios, and then accountable their own work and research, so they have the proper understanding about all the context, and get ideas from the network and have that research on the network, what their opinions on all the scenarios, and then ask questions, understand every scenario. And finally, the other consideration, like setting expectations, like the risk management doesn't like necessarily means this, but like and it's like we need to focus on what we can control and what is the second like the backup plan and everything. So that's good.
Wonderful. I really like when you mentioned, like, listening to the ideas. And this is something that actually worked a lot for me during my planning and replanning, was that we have a concept called Idea Hub. So whenever we're thinking of something new, we have a ritual that we stop and we listen to the idea. So that encourages people to actually give their ideas, and then we follow it and we see if it's actionable, what can be done, and we have a space for idea discussion. So it's called an incubator. So you can do something like that as well, and it's a great thing. And also, being guardians of the ISEC way and ISEC 2025. Why it's important is that with everything that we're doing now, the question of are we relevant, or is what we are doing relevant to what our essence is more and more questionable. So it's very important that you guys internally discuss these things in the MC team. Maybe even better, have a team space, debate about the ISEC way. It can be anything, but then when you debate, when you argue, that's when you increase clarity. So this is very good. All right. I don't think we have strategy building because there weren't enough people, but hopefully it'll be fine. But yeah, I think you guys shared also. Wonderful. You guys did the presentation. Now, these are the links again. I think this has been shared to you guys, but just remember, this is like your Bible during planning, which is the MC replanning tool. And all of these, things that you need to actually know, your planning resources, your planning folder, your pre-planning phase, and also post-planning phase. So all of these things, very, very important. Treat it like you would treat a religious book. It's very nice. And it has basically all the tools that you would need to go through this process. Now, going ahead, let me bring it back. Now it's enough with the technical shit. Let's like talk one-to-one. If you remember in the beginning, I actually mentioned my Clifton strengths. It was input, includer, positivity, communication, and strategic. And I think all of you, wait, I just need to know this also. Have all of you done your Clifton strengths? Yes or no? Just quick answers. That's fine. If you have not, it's totally cool. If you have, then yes. Yes or no answers. Okay, Nishad says yes. If you have done it, you can put yes. Most of them who got selected before IPM. All right, okay, it's fine, guys. So if you have not done your Clifton strengths, I think Tony can help you guys out later to do it. And at the same time, for now, you can just think of like something that you have actually noticed are your strengths. So yeah, these are my strengths. And why I want to talk about my strengths is because sometimes your planning, at least most of the time, something that we forget about is your planning at the end of the day is really determined by what strengths you possess. And the outcome is driven by how good you are doing something. So in my case, by input naturally, I'm inquisitive and curious. That's how that's my working style, in the sense I consciously try to figure out like new uncertainties. I like to question things. I like to find different possibilities. And that has helped me to even guide my team or with the entire nature of the planning into that direction. And that's me leveraging on my strengths. And when you talk about includer, it's about building relationships and connections. Even though you do a physical planning or a virtual planning, if you naturally can use your strengths to make people around you feel more included, that's great. And when it talks about positivity, positivity, I think this is something very essential during planning, especially when you look at budget forecast. That's something that you need to have a lot of positivity on. So having that appreciative and positive approach to doing things is very important. And at the same time, communication. communicating your thoughts and feelings, because that is what worked for me, and that's how I leveraged it in my planning. And at the same time, being strategic. This is something that is very natural to me, and it deals with being innovative, finding solutions and alternatives. Now, just like that, I'm not talking about my 5 strengths, saying that these are the 5 things you need, but just like how I use my strengths, and similarly, your strengths also provide a lot of value to you during your planning. And it's about you being very concise and concrete about what and how they do that. So why we keep talking about this is, while you are right now trying to learn new things, maybe when you had your one-to-ones with your MCP, you probably were like, you got a feedback. Hey, Alyssa, work on this. Kanil, do this. Isha, do this. Diksha, you need to probably maybe improve on this. Now, while you're constantly trying to learn new things, it's also important for you to remember that there's something you're really good at. Don't stop doing that, or don't stop growing, because that's what makes you great. That's what really makes the leadership factory work. And remember, you have to own your strengths. You have to invest. You have to galvanize. You have to reinforce. So that's why constantly make sure that no matter what skill you want to learn, you always remember you fall back or you bet on your strengths, because that's the most important thing. So what I want you to do now is, let's do a quick reflection. I'll give you 5 minutes. What I want you to do is look at your Clifton strengths. If you don't have your Clifton strengths, think of general strengths that you probably have always demonstrated. And how does your strengths lead to you? How does your strength eventually, how do you think it will contribute to making your planning successful? And how can you bring your strengths the attention it needs, and how could you further sharpen them? And at the same time, if you remember the concept of Clifton strengths, there is basements and there's balcony. Basements are basically disadvantages or cons of strength. If too much of something is also not good for something. So would the balcony of that strength, what would that create for you? If it's like, if you go too much with the strength, what's it going to lead to? If it's so that's what I want you to think about. So by basement, for the people who didn't do the Clifton strength, by basement, I'm trying to say, what if the strength takes over a lot? What could it negatively create? So that's what I want you to think about. I'm going to give you 5 minutes of time to reflect on this, and take your time, and let me know if you finish early, just let me know. And I think Dilendra has also sent this in the group. So yes. So I think he's also sent this in the group, so you guys can refer to that, and I'll play a song for you guys.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in reverse, and the tears come streaming down your face, when you lose something you can't replace, when you love someone but it goes to waste, could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. Tears stream down your face when you lose something you cannot replace. Tears stream down your face, and tears stream down your face. I promise you I will learn from your mistakes. Tears stream down your face, and lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
Okay, amazing. I hope you guys had a very nice reflection, because now we will put you in a random breakout room with another MCP. So you can just go and talk to each other about what are the cool things you realize. And we will put you in there for 5 minutes. So yes, good luck. See you guys soon. Elaine, if you could help me coordinate this, it would be amazing.
Picture yourself in a living room, your pipe and slippers set out for you. I know you think that it ain't too far, but I hear a call of a lifetime ring.
You guys had a good conversation. I'll have a sharing at the very end, but it wouldn't be a session if I did not leave some tips behind. So I wanted to leave some tips behind for you to ace your planning, to have the best planning ever. So the first thing is, remember this: preparation is what decides the outcome of the planning. Always focus on the preparation, create the timeline, and make it exciting. And so one thing that I did as an MCP was this was something that I did back in the day with my MC team, which was just I made preparation a competition. So literally everything that they had to do, put it in a set of tasks, do some formula work, and then you create a leaderboard. You can see Nishat actually won that. And then I was like, you know what, if you win it, you get an incentive or something like that, so that you can figure out a way to do something fun with your team. But remember, preparation is important, because when your team is prepared, when they have done every single thing, then that's going to be good. And the next thing is, create guiding questions for literally everything, beforehand, for each discussion topic or planning. Because if you have a framework, or if you have a set of questions that that you want to answer during this planning, this is, for example, network management, this is what I want to do. Focus selection, this is how the flow should be. If it's there, it's more easy to execute it. And then similarly, this is how I did it. So we had for everything, for example, this is during our replanning when we did focus selection, what needs to be changed, what should be a must-win battles. So we all followed this framework to answer the questions. Hence, the planning was more structured, more aligned, and then we did not waste a lot of time. Remember that time is very critical. You have to use it in a most effective, wise way. Just because you have discussions, don't go overboard with the discussions. Have specific, clear discussions. That's very important. And at the same time, have roles allocated for everyone in the team. Efficiency will be decided on how effectively you plan out things. For example, there are great ways. You can have a timekeeper. You can have a moderator for every day. You can for every session, you can have someone doing something so that no one stays away, so that no one feels like, okay, you know what, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to be chilling here. Everyone contributes in their own way. And one of the great things that actually worked for me is, and I actively use this during my meetings, which is this concept of the thinking hats. Maybe you guys have seen this, maybe you have not, but then the thinking hats is a very beautiful thing. So there's the blue hat. The blue hat is the person that always thinks about the process, about what needs to happen, or the organization. This is something that's worn by the MCP. The white hat is the person who brings facts. All the time, this person talks about the facts from a factual perspective. The green hat is the person who is about creativity, who brings ideas, alternatives, possibilities, solutions, and all of that. Yellow hat is the person that talks about benefits. Okay, if we do this, this is the benefit. Black hat is someone who talks about the inherent risks, the problems, and all of that. The red hat is the person who talks about, feelings, guts, and gut feelings and things like that. So naturally, I'm a blue hat, but I sometimes also play the green. I play the green hat and the white hat. So my hats are normally around these three. So when you have this when you have this framework in your team, the kind of discussions that you guys bring or the questions that you ask is coming from 6 different possibilities, 6 different sides. And that's the best thing. So you as an MCP know who is in your team, what can their contribution be like? And then you make sure that when they ask the questions or when the discussions are happening, they present this opinion, because that opinion is very good and that's going to create the relevant outcome that you want. And on the 4th point, use the individual working time, actually use it. I know a lot of the times what we do is we take breaks here and we don't do anything. We end up talking so much, but use this time, because when you use this time, you can actually input all your plans that's there on the sheet into a system or into an app or whatever you guys use and track the implementation. If you felt that always there's less accountability is not there because there's no transparency. There's no transparency of plans. Transparency of plans always happen when there's a way for the team to see the execution. So for example, in my team, I use Asana. So if you can see, this is one of our projects. And we actually see how much of the work of the projects has been done by looking at the key activities. Have they been fulfilled on time? What's going on? And then as MCP, you can actually question what's happening, what's going on, and things like that. So this is a great thing I learned from Tony last year when he was chairing our planning. And then we actually took our entire system to Asana. And this is literally where we work because it's so easy. And everything is there, everything. When it comes to daily tasks, when it comes to meeting outputs, we literally have everything in one system. And we only use Google Sheets for analytics or something like that. And when it comes to the final tip, it's always before you actually submit your plan or before you downscale it to the network, get an external opinion. I'm not saying by getting SG opinions or things like that, but get your chairs is the person that can give you the most amount of help. And also remember, your previous MC team is still there. Ask them for what they think about this. Have dynamic calls. Don't try to I don't know if this is a word, bureaucratize the process. Try to make it more dynamic so you can get more feedback, more input. And remember, it's not a fact, it's an opinion. It's up to you to decide if it's relevant or if it's not. And that just gives you more eyeballs on the process so you actually can make this better. So that's very important. So, in summary, remember this, preparation is critical for a good planning. Very, very critical. Prepare the flow of every discussion. How will these things happen? What's going to go on? And assign roles and responsibilities for every space. Use the discussion hats. That shit does magic. And integrate planning output into your routines. For example, how will the planning be discussed? We make the strategies. What is the output for us? Or what's the routine for us to revisit this, reevaluate this? Seek external insights, very important. If you don't go for external insight, your plan can easily be considered biased as well, because if you seek insights, you actually know that this is a very logical plan, it makes sense. I have more supporters on this, is good. And I think Luis mentioned this yesterday. I asked if this quote was mentioned anywhere, and I think Luis mentioned this: "With great power comes great responsibility." And remember that you are in a very powerful place right now as an MCP. That's probably one of the best roles you can have in ISEC, being responsible for an entire network, an entire country. That's just amazing. And with this power comes that responsibility. You actually will start feeling responsibility when you will feel responsibility, not when everything is going well, but when everything is going bad. You will feel responsibility when you're not being able to achieve your goals. You will feel responsibility when your planary or your network is not on board with what you want to do. You will feel responsibility when your MCVPs are struggling because they don't have a plan and they constantly do things that it's very last minute. You will feel responsibility when sometimes you just sit and you think that, okay, as an MCP, am I doing the right job? And that's when responsibility is going to hit you. But all that can be solved in your planning, because your planning needs to dictate how you're going to take the rest of your term. And when it does that, I mean, always prepare for agility, prepare to be dynamic. But at the same time, remember, in ISEC, we have frameworks and we have plans that actually can help us for the next 6 months, 1 year, and use the most of this time. Don't put yourself or put your MC team in a situation where they literally have to make a new plan every month, because that's not how we need to work. And that's not a good environment that we need to give. And I think in the TM session earlier, why do we have such a low mental health score in ISEC? It's because we constantly pressurize our people very last minute. But we need to stop doing that. We need to be more process oriented in the way we do things. And this is a great quote that I saw from the movie, which is, "Everywhere I go, I see his face. And the whole world is asking who is going to be the next Iron Man. I don't know if that's me. Happy I'm not Iron Man." And that's true. Right now, you probably think that, you're probably a predecessor is so cool. Maybe the network loves him. Strategic. Maybe he's so well spoken. And maybe you sometimes end up thinking, can I be like this person? But remember, you don't have to be, because you're not that person. You're someone else. You're someone completely different. And that's fine, because that's you. And what drives the planning or the entity is not the framework sometimes, or even not. It's not even the best strategy, because all these things are not going to work without you. It's always you. It's always you. You are the person that actually makes this entire thing move. You are the person that turns the wheel. And you need to make sure that you are in that best place, and your planning represents what you want your entity to look like. And your planning represents everything that you promised in your applications, in your letter of intentions, in every single conversation you had with the network leading up to the moment. And that's it. I want to just open this floor for like a couple of sharings. And I want to listen to you guys as well. Like, how was the entire thing for you guys? And any key realizations that you guys got? Who wants to go? Okay, going for one. Oh, do we have anyone? I'm going to wait for like 5 more seconds. All right, wonderful. ISEC in Korea. Demi, let's go.
Okay, thank you for the sessions. I think it was very insightful yet helpful for me. Since I'm right now, I'm very insecure about like the planning process, especially because just so you know that I am not originally coming from ISEC Korea. I am right now MCPP of ISEC Indonesia. So I just came to Korea in the middle of nowhere and become their MCP right now. So I think to understand the things that you said, especially about every specific area like focus selections, accountability system and whatsoever, is really important for me to understand about that before I going through the planning process. So thank you for making decisions, because it's really like, I think it's comfort me a lot about like the current situations that I've been through right now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing, Demian. And yeah, it's the same thing for me. I also was an MCVP in ISEC Sri Lanka and went to another entity. So if you ever want to talk, again, I'll just tell you, I can guide you on how you need to go about it. Perfect. Okay, I think we can go for one last sharing. Is there anyone who wants to share? Or else if not, we can move on. Okay, going for one, going for two, going for three. All right, thank you very much, MCPs. And yeah, last but not least, let's do this. 365 days of insane courage. of endless possibilities. Make the most out of it. I know you guys can do it, and we'll be watching and we'll be proud of you guys as well. Let's make it happen. And remember, you're born for this. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Afan. So proud of you. So proud of you. So proud of you. Ooh, nice. Very on time. Cool. So we end the section here, and thank you, Afan, for joining us. Right now, I think we need a little bit of fun team. Woohoo!